Hi, everybody. Shabbat Shalom. Welcome to Saturday Night Not So Live with your host, me, Rabbi Robert Silvers. I thought I'd do something a little different, that we could enjoy ourselves for a few minutes and get our mind off being secluded and quarantined and, a little out of the norm. It's still a little bit Shabbos. And of course, you can see I'm home and I'm in my garb, I'm in my t-shirt. And I thought I'd talk to you about a couple things tonight. First of all, names, how important names are. In Judaism, in the Ashkenazi Jewish world, we name after the living. When our son Jason was born, we named him for my dad of blessed memory, Julius, and we named him Jason. And Jason bears my father's Hebrew name, Yehuda Leib. Jenna was born 3 years later. And it's lucky she was a girl, because I'd almost convinced my wife, if it was a boy, to name her Hyman Oscar Silvers. Now, you might think that's kind of weird, especially because I had nobody in the family whose name was Hyman or Oscar. But I wanted to name a next son Hyman Oscar so he would be known as Hi-O Silvers. Honest. I was enthralled as a young boy with the Lone Ranger. He was like my childhood hero. I knew all the details about the Lone Ranger story. So I was born in 53, so in the late 50s, this came on TV, and before it was on TV, it was a radio show, and I knew all the backstory to the Lone Ranger. How 6 Texas Rangers went after a gang of outlaws. It was Butch Cavendish and his outlaw gang. And of the 6, 5 were killed and 1 survived. And the one who survived was the captain's youngest brother, Captain Dan Reed, who led the Rangers. He died, but his younger brother, John, was barely alive. And he was found by an Indian, by Tonto, and nursed back to health. And then he took the fabric of his brother's vest and he fashioned a mask, and he went out with his sidekick Tonto to fight for justice in the American way. And I loved the Lone Ranger. I loved all that he stood for. If I put it in Jewish terms, if you would look in the book of Deuteronomy, it tells us, tzedek, tzedek, tirdov. Justice you shall pursue justly. And that's what he did. He pursued justice, and he did it justly. He always was on the side of right and good. He never killed anybody, not that I recall from the series. He only wounded people or shot the gun out of their hands, as though you could really do that. And that was him. And he rode that beautiful white stallion, Silver. And I just loved it. And Tonto became his sidekick. Jay Silverhills played him in the TV series. And Clayton Moore played the Lone Ranger. And Tonto constantly referred to the Lone Ranger as Kimosabi, which means trusty scout or trusted friend. And that was the Lone Ranger. The two of them had this partnership, this friendship, which if you look at it today, look at how this friendship between a white man and a Native American crossed boundaries, and they were companions, they were friends, and they fought side by side for justice and righteousness. So even the backstories has a lot of wonderful lessons to be learned. So anyways, that was one of my favorite TV shows, The Lone Ranger, and I used to watch it religiously. So a number of years ago,